All right, we've made it to our final discipline, ladies. Which, by the way, I have not had time to debrief. Ladies ended, I did some work, and then we started filming.
Yes.
But Aliona won, and I was not positive that she would. I was hoping, I actually thought she would have been second or third. She did not need a quad. She was like, you have a quad? I don't care. 3.5 revolutions is enough for me. I sell my programs. She has the total package. You could clearly see that in a field this deep. She was meant to be on the top of that podium.
100%. I agree with you. I was actually talking to Raheem about this recently. We've actually been talking about this the whole entire season. And we both said a clean Aliona can really be a force to be reckoned with. She might be able to beat a clean Trusova or SHCHERBAKOVA. Obviously now, SHCHERBAKOVA and Trusova have added more quads
Yes.
to up that base value. But let's first talk about that short program.
Oh, it's everything.
Everything and more, okay? I was a little worried when she was going to repeat the short program because I felt like, oh, she's having a senior debut and I would love to see her try something new. But she was injured. She wasn't able to compete at World Juniors last season. And I remember seeing that program at Vancouver during the Grand Prix final, and it took my breath away. I forgot I was watching a junior competition. I thought this was a seasoned veteran. I was seeing like a baby Alena KOSTORNAIA go out there and jump her triples, and it was out of this world. And she came back to this program, and she killed it. She did.
She's naturally gifted. You could tell
She is.
she doesn't need to go to ballet class for a couple hours every week. It's like in her body to move with the music. Like she listens to it instead of just following it.
And her skating skills are absolutely wonderful. She is doing some of the most difficult transitions in the field, and she's doing them with quality. This has been another problem that I've had sometimes with scoring, is people will say, oh, well, this skater is doing many transitions. And I'm like, well, if you're hopping the edge,
Yeah.
or if you
What kind
are
of transitions?
yeah, like what quality of these, what's the quality of these transitions? How many different types of transitions are you doing? If you're doing a spread eagle into 4 different jumps, yes, you are doing a difficult transition, but you are doing the same transition.
It's like being a one-trick pony.
Exactly. She is not. She's anything but a one-trick pony. She is probably the most well-rounded skater, I think, competing alongside with Rika when she's, clean.
Yeah.
But she came out here and she did 2 clean programs with triple axels across the board. And she was getting a really high technical score. She got almost a 50 for the short program in ladies. And then she got almost a 90 in the free skate with just 2 triple axels. And it's not just the jumps.
No.
It's the spins. She has some of the most centered and interesting positions of the ladies currently competing. She is quite flexible, but she doesn't look
like she's killing herself getting a position.
Exactly. She doesn't depend on, she doesn't do the needle stick Bielman position. She does do some really beautiful spirals going in and out of her elements. She does use those strengths. She does use her flexibility as a strength, but it's not spammed. If that makes sense, it's not like she's doing a leg kick every 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Valieva, SHCHERBAKOVA.
You know what I really notice with Aliona is some people, I've heard this term being thrown out there a lot, like, oh, that person does too many 2-foot skating. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't always catch what that meant. I now know what they were talking about because Aliona does not do that. She stays on 1 foot for as long as she can, which is hard to do, but she makes it look easy.
No, she's one of the few skaters who I would say throughout most of the program, you can't catch her doing 3 crossovers in a row. She won't let you. She finds, and also because her basic skating skills are so, not even just basic, her skating skills, period, are so strong, she gains so much speed doing so few crossovers that she's able to do these difficult transitions. She's able to incorporate more multi-directional skating, more 1-foot skating into her programs. Also, even though her base value, outside the triple axel, of course,
Yeah.
she's doing the triple flip, triple toe, and triple lutz, her jumps are so big. They are so huge. And she's doing difficult out of them that you have to shower her in GOE. So her technical score, even though she's not doing the Lutz loop like Alina and Anna did here, her combination is getting +4s and +5s, and it deservedly so should be getting those scores. Another thing is that she has improved technically as well with her Lutz jump. So in the past, she used to sometimes, when she would get nervous, she would she would go into either an inside edge or a flat edge. So sometimes the judges would give her either the exclamation point to say it's an unclear edge, we can't tell where you're at, or they would give her an edge call, which would in turn lower her base value. And for those who are a little bit newer to the sports, a triple Lutz jump or a Lutz jump in general has to be taken off in back outside edge. So your blade has to be leading to the outside. Now, for some people who have problems with keeping that outside edge, because it's actually quite difficult to keep, it's a counter-rotated jump. So you are actually you are jumping in the opposite direction in which you're you're trying to go down to. They will then change of edge, right, when they're about to pick it, either to a flat edge or an inside edge. So some people call this a flutz because a flip jump takes off the inside edge. So if you go from an outside edge to an inside edge, you flutz to jump. And she used to have a really, really bad flutz with her Lutz jumps. And it got to a point that I know at one point she wasn't even able to put the Lutz in the short program. But she's really worked on it. And I looked in slow-mo, and the Lutz was in on outside edge, a slight outside edge. And it was the first time in a while since the Russian test skates where I really felt confident in her outside edge. And I'm like, she came here, she did not come to play. She came to win. The step sequence was fantastic. It's just, she really hits all of the different accents in the music. Her edges are so deep. She's able to achieve so much speed, but she also doesn't give up on the transitions to gain that speed. Like some people, I think, sometimes will just do a million crossovers to gain speed. She doesn't have to do that. And she also doesn't, give up on her posture to gain speed. Yeah. Another common thing that people have to do is, I like to call it the speed skater syndrome, where you hunch your back a bit to make yourself smaller so you can get faster across the ice. And that's usually a symptom of not having the greatest crossovers, where you're not able to gain speed so much. So you're doing whatever you can. But she has beautiful posture. She is the full package. And I'm so happy that the judges are rewarding her properly. She got the highest PCS in the free skate, I believe. And
that's awesome. Let me confirm that. I was talking with some people on Twitter, because people have different opinions about her free program when it turns into kind of like that rock music portion in the second half. I actually really like it, but some people who don't like it, they can at least acknowledge that they love that she loves it. She sells it. And, that's all we can ask for a 16-year-old skater, is that them just skate to age-appropriate music that they like.
No, I agree. I was definitely a bit disappointed because earlier on in the season, she had announced that she was going to be doing, I can't remember the name of the song right now, but it was, I think it was an Italian ballad. It was a beautiful piece of music, but she decided, I believe, with her team that, I'm not sure if it was her, Alena, who came forward to her team, or her team who suggested it, but they decided as a unit that they would be making her exhibition to a piece of music, a ballad, not ballad, a culmination, a mixture, a mashup of Twilight music into her free skates. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't really a big fan of the idea, because I was like, this is going to be kind of juvenile. Yeah. She is such a mature skater. But then she went out there and she did it. And the first half of the program is nice. The music it's soft, it's lovely. But then it goes into the rock kind of portion of it, and her face lights up and she sells it to the audience. And even though I'm not sold fully on that program for her, and I'm thinking in my head, she could do if you gave her a piece of Russian ballet music and had her do, or maybe give her Tosca and just let her own that moment, she can carry those types of pieces. But then I'm looking at this 16-year-old girl, rocking out to Twilight music while successfully completing a difficult a bunch of difficult steps and turns. I'm just like, why not? And performance to me is about projection. And if you feel more comfortable projecting to that piece of music, be my guest. Yeah. And also, I think when you love your program, you're more likely to to skate clean. Because you're feeling it. You're not worried about like having to project more so because like, oh God, now it's this part. Okay, I have to do that. Oh no, it's like, oh yeah, like, let me just go.
And maybe you're more determined to make it a moment, hence be more clean on your jumps.
Exactly. I feel like if it's a piece of music that you really connect with, you want to make sure you deliver because you want people to remember you skating to that piece of music. And I think it showed. And I'm just, her winning. And also in juniors, Kamila Valieva from the same team, Terry Tabrizi's team, also won without quads, while other girls in the competition did not only attempt, but cleanly land more than one quad. It did give me a little bit of hope that the judging system is being used appropriately and making sure we can differentiate between good quads, but the skating maybe being at a slightly lower level versus really clean triples and triple axels. She doesn't have a low base value, but clean triples and triple axels, but being done to such a high level of quality and being showered in the extra bonus points for that and having that difference in technical kind of close up a little bit, equaling them out a little bit. And I felt like the judges did that. And I also thought that overall, the PCS was quite fair amongst all the ladies for the free skate at least.
Yeah. The only thing that scares me is that I don't think Alena would have won if the other girls were clean.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I do agree with that.
Are we ready to talk about them? SHCHERBAKOVA in second place. I have to apologize to Brahim because in our preview video, he was like, Justin, 4 girls could win the title. I was like, no, one. Trusova. And she was third. So Brahim, formal apology to you because SHCHERBAKOVA is actually second. She won the free skate portion, actually.
Oh, yes, I did see that. They were also the top, the AAA, as we'll call them. They were all so close in the free skate. But like, SHCHERBAKOVA, yeah. It was nerve-wracking. I was like, oh my God, they are going to make the podium. And I honestly believe these girls could sweep worlds the first time since the US did it in 91 Worlds. I think that this could be the second coming of a one nation sweep. And they really showed up here. But with SHCHERBAKOVA, potentially unpopular opinion, I think SHCHERBAKOVA is naturally more musical. Like, I think she listens to the music and she conveys the nuances of music slightly better than KOSTORNAIA.
Oh, that is unpopular.
Yeah, like, I think the thing is that KOSTORNAIA's skating skills are much stronger than SHCHERBAKOVA's. SHCHERBAKOVA has improved leaps and bounds since the last couple of seasons, but she still does struggle with speed. She still does struggle sometimes to have the deepest edges. She does have a lot of she does have quite a bit of multi-directional skating. She does have a lot of one-foot skating. This is something that is very common for people from her training camp. But I think that when I actually looked at who was listening to the music throughout and who was moving their body to match every note of it and who was able to convey the clearest story, I actually would give the edge to SHCHERBAKOVA. This might also be because I personally think SHCHERBAKOVA has a stronger pair of programs than KOSTORNAIA. I wasn't sold in the short program at the beginning of the season because I thought it was a bit too dark and brooding for her, especially for somebody who in the past would always choose programs that embodied like almost a childlike joy. She had that one short program where she throws the snow up in the air and she has this lovely smile and the powder blue dress.
She does a dress change in the free.
She does. And the free does showcase, I think, a little bit more of that quality. But the short program, the music is so haunting and it's brooding and it's dark but beautiful in a way. And she embodies that perfectly with her facial expressions and her arm movements and even some of the transitions, which I think are kind of just there for point's sake. I think that sometimes that's my biggest criticism from everyone from that camp is they really focus on getting that transition mark, and sometimes they don't always fit the music. I think they actually worked on getting hers to fit the music. I think that her spins are really good. I do think that sometimes Anna's spins are, I don't want to say overrated. I don't think they're over. I think maybe some of the other spins are underrated. I think the judges appreciate flexibility. And sometimes they are so impressed by hers that they may ignore the fact that her toes aren't pointed. They may ignore the fact that she doesn't have the best centering. You know, they may ignore a couple of other qualities because they see this girl who, when she does a layback, her legs are literally like below, like holding on below her knee. And they're so taken aback by that she's getting the highest composite score in spins when Bradie Tennell, you know, Alena KOSTORNAIA and Alina ZAGITOVA are right there to compare. But she killed it.
Yeah.
She killed, and the free skate.
Minus the mistakes.
Yeah, true. Yes. But no, that so sorry about this. I feel like I'm just talking so much
no,
about
this is good. I want to hear your take on things. And it's interesting to hear that because I'm not used to, for myself, comparing Anna and Alena together. I usually compare Anna and Trusova, Sasha Trusova. So I'm just like, what's all this negativity about Anna? Because obviously I'm glad that Anna won the silver over Trusova because I find her to be a presentable skater. Granted, you know, Trusova is a little younger and it is growing, but there's still a distinction between their programs and what they're doing and how aesthetically pleasing the non-jumping elements are. So I'm just like, Na has some negatives about Anna. So it was good to hear.
I honestly think Anna is one, like, and even when you watch, I love to watch the videos of the Sambo 70 girls dancing and, you know, working like on their flexibility exercises that sometimes people post on YouTube and Instagram. And I remember watching Anna dance, and I just felt like she had a fluidity to her that I didn't see with anyone else. And I felt like it does translate to the programs a bit. And with the free skate, first of all, that dress change is like so effective. Absolutely a crowd pleaser moments for everybody around her. The way she's able to do with the dress is so seamless as well. Because I think with some dress changes, I love Trusova, like I love her. I'll go into that later. But the dress change in the short program, one, it's not very dramatic. And two, it's not always as seamless. So it kind of, it's a bit rough around the edges. And so is her skating. So maybe it fits in that way. But I think that in the free skate, she conveys that story of like rising up as the Firebird, rising as the Phoenix so well. And you know, she has gorgeous extension. She has amazing posture. They really found, I think, a pair of programs that showcase that for her. I still think that it's a little busy at times. I think both programs can get a little busy at times. I think that just, you know, it's part of the game. I think it's
part of being part of that camp.
Too. Exactly. So is that there are improvements to be made, but the short program, getting a 78 in the short program without a triple axel, amazing. And then coming and winning the free skate was, you know, incredibly impressive. Adding a quad flip to her repertoire, you know, instead of just the quadlets. Another, though, comments, the edge that she takes off, like the takeoff edge of her quad flip and quadlets are the same. I could not tell.
I thought so,
I thought she was doing 3 quadlets. So, I don't think they called her edge. They did call one of the lets under rotated, which was good to see that the tech panel wasn't totally asleep. But all in all, I really love her. I love her performance quality. I love her musicality. I love her to me, she is quite balletic for a skater, except for the toe. Like, she needs to point her toes, but she has balletic qualities.
I think she holds some of her positions longer than Trusova. I'm just comparing the two because that's what I always do.
I think that's an objective. But yeah, what's your thoughts on Anna?
You know what? I echo everything you said. Although, like I said before, I'm not used to comparing her to Alena. So I think she was the proper silver medalist here. I think, yes. So I enjoyed watching Anna, but it might just be because I watched her performance after Trusova, which there's a lot more room for improvement there. Shall we talk about Trusova instead? I'll have more to
Definitely.
say. Yeah, I
Definitely.
thought it was interesting that she went for the triple axel in the short program. I think that was a mistake because not only did she fall, she got an under rotation. And the free skate, you know what? I'm not gonna lie, I was really expecting her to be completely clean and to win the whole thing, even if she did get the lowest program component marks. But she did have a fall and she popped the sow, so that was just a big shocker. So it's like, oh, this little teen can feel pressure. It's, good to a good reminder that they're human. I also need to say something in my video with Brahim. I think I said, you know what? Everyone says that, you know, Trusova's PCS should really be like fives and sixes, but I think that's a hyperbole because isn't it okay that her PCS is already just a little lower than everyone else's? And Brahim actually called me out. He said, no, it's not okay that hers are just lower than everyone else's. They need to be much lower. I'm not gonna lie, I went and rewatched her programs after we did our video. And Brahim, you are right. Everyone who left a comment, in my you take away the jumps, it really kind of looks like someone at like US, sectionals or regionals just focus on the jumps. So the jumps are great, but I think she's so focused at lack of transitions, lack of movements. I could see there's pockets where they like try to add choreographic movements, like she does like a cantilever at one point, but it's like you can't just have them be
Yes. She has a
random.
very
Like we
no,
need we need
I
flowy movements of choreography in between the impressive jumps. So that's my take on Trusova. I was wrong. She did not win. Bronze medalist here. Good for her.
I'm dying. No, I agree with everything you just said. Raheem and I had been kind of like following up of like who in that triple A, new like debut senior group was going to win Grand Prix final. And I've put this actually in quite a few comments on YouTube, like a few different videos reviewing competitions that Trusova was competing at, specifically Rustalicum. I think a clean Trusova should be averaging around a 7 in PCS across both programs. And if that were the case, a clean Trusova would get around a 70 in the short program for double axel, triple S, triple toe in the second half, triple flip, or even triple S, triple loop because she gets lower GOE on that. And around, I think I got around 148 for a clean 4 quad. Free skate. Now, this is before she added the 5th quad and before she kind of changed. She got rid of her triple S, triple loop, and, she's changed her layout completely. She had to recalculate. But if you score her properly, that's a 28 in PCS in the short for a clean program and around a 56 in PCS for the free skates. That is not what she's being scored. Ooh. And people would say a lot of the times, well, if she was scored properly, she would still win. That is not the case. And I am a huge fan of Trusova as the Trusova the athlete and Trusova the person.
Yeah.
I really love her off-ice personality. I think she's like a little sassy. She's confident. I think at one point, a host of, I think it was either a host or a reporter for the Olympic Channel, asked her if she had to choose between cutting her hair and landing her quads, if she would choose. And she said, neither. I'm going to have long hair and land the quads with it. And it was just very like kind of snappy, but at the same time, she always like talks about like skaters that she looks up to. She was talking about how she was inspired by Evgenia Medvedeva and how she looks to men who are doing quads and how she looks up to Yuzuru and Nathan. And she just seems to have a really positive personality, and she seems to be incredibly hardworking and incredibly brave. And the quads are so impressive. But I agree with you where when I saw that triple axel on Instagram, I was thinking in my head, maybe she'll debut it at Euros.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll bring it to Worlds. And then when she started practicing it, I was thinking, okay, maybe she's kind of pulling a Yuzuru Hanyu who's trying to do his quad axel in practice. It's clearly not a ready jump. She's not going to attempt it. And then I saw the planned program entries, and I was taken aback. Why would you put in this jump? You do not need it to be the winner. you have a clean short program, you're going to get a mid-70s. I don't agree with that score, but that's what the judges will give you.
Yeah.
And if you have a clean 4 to 5 quad free skate, that's how you win the whole competition. You're going to be getting a 170. In the free skate, together you're getting mid to high 240s. Granted, considering the score that KOSTORNAIA got, she may not have been able to win without the triple axel in the short at this point, depending on how the judges decided to score her in GOE and in PCS if she landed them all. But I didn't think it was the smart decision. I think right now she pretty much has stamped her ticket to go to Worlds. The Russian Federation would have to be really brave and kind of stupid to not send her over there. So I think she kind of was allowed to be a little more reckless here. She was allowed to just test out new layouts and, try and figure out, like, okay, this is, I can do this, I can't do this.
So do you think the AAA is the Russian world team?
So this is interesting. I think that they are by far the most likely. Okay. Because SHCHERBAKOVA got around a 240 here. I think KOSTORNAIA did get, KOSTORNAIA got in the high 240s, and we know Trusova can get 240s and potentially 250s, depending on how the judges score her. No one else in the across different fields are getting anywhere near those scores. The only person I think who could get those at this point in time is Rika KIHIRA. But she has a tendon injury in her ankle that is stopping her from doing a triple Lutz. And between two programs, she's giving up over 10 points in base value alone. So until she's completely healed, they have such a high ceiling in points. I don't know if I could justify keeping any of them home. Elizaveta took to me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. I was going to mention Elizaveta.
Yes, she won. She's the queen of Zagreb. She won Golden Spin. Her and Jason Brown are the king and queens of Zagreb. And she did land 2 clean triple axels in the free skate, but she also landed a couple of quad toes in the warm-up, the 6-minute warm-up before her free skate. We saw on Instagram she landed the quad toe. A couple of my friends in Russia have confirmed that she has been working on the quad toe for several years. So this is not a completely new element. She started working, I think, in 2011, but then it wasn't consistent enough, and the triple axel was right there. And 2014, you did not need a quad toe to be competitive. So I think that the quad toe looks really good. It does still look under-rotated, but the actual mechanics of the jump look so solid. She has such, massive lower body strength that she doesn't even have to use her arms to get up in the air. She kind of just lets them float around, and she goes into the quad, and she goes into her triple axels. But I honestly don't think that Tuktamisheva can do it even with the quad toe because her base value is not that high. She's not maximizing it. Mostly because she's only doing 7 triples with 2 triple axels, and most skaters do 7 triples. She's doing the triple Lutz double axel sequence, which is only 8% of the base value of those 2 jumps together. She's not doing a triple sal. She doesn't really have the points to play with. She needs to add a Euler triple sal, for example, a second triple, so she can be more competitive with the rest of the field. She needs to skate clean, and even then, I don't even think
her PCS aren't the highest.
I think a clean KOSTORNAIA with 2 triple axels can beat a clean Tuktamisheva with 2 quad toes and 2 triple axels, and I think it's fair.
Yeah.
So I think that this team is a lock, especially because I thought the biggest potential spoiler would be Alina ZAGITOVA, and unfortunately.
Not based on the results here.
Yeah. So I do think that, but going back to Trusova, the girl attempted 5 quads. She landed 3. She fell on 1. The quad sal when she lands is absolutely gorgeous. I think it's one of her best quads out there. She did a quad flip. She's the first female skater to do, I think, quad toe, quad Lutz, quad flip, and then she's the second to do a quad sal after Mikiando. This girl is a beast. She's going for the triple axel because she wants to. She wants to have the highest scores of all time. I think she knows what she's doing. I don't think it was smart if she wanted to win here, but maybe that wasn't her goal. Maybe her goal was just the podium here. I think the judges are still over-scoring her like hell. I don't understand how she got a 60, what was it, a 65? in PCS, I think.
65.93.
Okay, so almost a 66 in
Yeah.
PCS. That puts her, what, I think, so an 8 is a 64, so she's getting low 8s in PCS
Mid eights and
for
some
when
high
she's,
sevens. Yeah.
okay, yeah, so she ends up averaging in the 8s, and that's a fall and a pop. And I'm telling you, if you just take each of these girls' programs and cut out when they jump, I don't see where those points are coming from. And they're going to put her in a place where the other girls are going to have to up their base value prematurely to stay competitive with her, when I don't think Kostornaia really should have to do that much work to be competitive with someone like Trusova.
Yeah.
So I
I
like her though, and I really do like Trusova's personality. The skating to me, it needs some improvement. The skating skills, the posture, everything needs work. The spins have improved a bit, but I think that she was being overscored in them, especially in the short program. They don't have the most aesthetically pleasing positions. They don't always have the best centering. It really depends on the day. I think the jumps are impressive, and
Yeah, this
that's
is
kind
one
of
of the very few, one of many cases where a lot of people would like to argue that there should be a separate judging panel for program components and a separate judging panel for the technical, because a lot of times a high tech score will influence the high PCS, which is not how it should be. You can land 5 quads but still lack the fundamental basic skating skills, and vice versa.
exactly. And also another thing about it is that you can have a lot of talent when it comes to being a performer, and you can
Yeah.
be exuberant, and you can have amazing interpretation skills and have shitty skating skills, and that should be
Zero
reflected in
transitions.
PCS. Exactly. So, someone like Sherbakova, to me, her lowest mark should be skating skills, because they're not that strong, but I do think that she should be getting a extra boost in interpretation, while somebody like, you know, maybe someone like Rika, at times, when she gets too focused on the jumps, may be getting higher scores in skating skills and transitions, but doesn't always have the best musical interpretation. So I think I actually do support the idea of a split panel. I think it would be helpful. I think that judges are asked to do something that is cognitively impossible. There are about 50 different criteria for determining PCS alone. And then GOE for jumps, you have 6 bullet points for adding to GOE, and you have over a dozen for removing it. Spins the same way.
Yeah, and who knows how
Step
well judges are
sequences.
paid? Like, maybe they're not
They're
paid
not.
enough.
They're volunteer. They're
Oh,
volunteers.
oh,
Yes.
so
Exactly.
there you go.
I think that they might get paid for their lodging for competitions and such, but you're not getting a salary for what you're doing. Most of them have, daytime jobs, and they do this for fun. And they're doing something that I think is nearly impossible, for a job that is nearly impossible to do perfectly. So a lot of times it comes down to almost like a gut feeling, but
Yeah.
I don't want to give these, amazing athletes scores based off a gut feeling. I want more work to go into it, so they can make sure that all the work they're putting into it is being properly evaluated. But I think there's a lot of questions about it that I would love to go
Right,
into
we
one
could go
day.
into
Yeah.
it. So Rika KIHIRA was in fourth. She also tried a new element. That surprised me. What was it? The
Oh,
quad sal?
Sal. Oh
Like
my
that came out of
gosh.
nowhere, and I was like, "Oh, honey."
Oh my gosh.
Didn't she also have a
Oh, Rika.
fall in the freeze or the short program?
Oh, the short program. Yeah,
Yeah.
she her triple axel she was able to save, but she had to put her foot down, so she got
Oh,
about
that's right.
-1s, -2s there. But her triple flip, triple toe, she went just up, so she fell in that, and she got a 70 in the short program, which 3 years ago, a 70 in a short program would be heavily applauded. We have gotten to a place where 70 is equivalent to, a solid skater from non-Russian Europe. Like it's the way that skating has developed over the last couple of years is astonishing.
Yeah.
So she had a lot of work to do in the free skate, and I think she knew that her chances of making the podium were relatively low. Her and Trusova were both kind of in the same situation, because Trusova had fallen in triple axel and rotated into short, and she had lower PCS than Rika, so they were only about 1 point away from each other. But I thought the quad sal attempt was a pretty solid attempt. It was clearly under rotated. And she had fall, but it looked like if she just got a little bit more spring, she could have landed it.
Mhm.
It wasn't a scary fall, So I think some people have attempted jumps they weren't ready for, and we've seen some nerve-wracking falls, and I didn't think that this was one of them. She did really well in getting the triple axels out. That was
She did.
amazing. She did a triple axel, I think double toe, and the triple axel, which it's not in the second half yet, but it's her fourth element, and I think she's getting ready to move it a little bit further back steadily. So
I believe in her.
I do too. She added a Euler triple sow, a double axel Euler triple sow to her repertoire. So I see she's smart, she's hardworking. You can tell that she knows that right now she has that score deficit because of her injury. So she's trying to play around with the layout to see what she can do to maximize her results. I think she made a really, really great comeback in the free skate comparatively to the short program. She got the mid 140s, which I know there were a few people I knew in my timeline, when I was on Twitter, who felt like her PCS was a little undercooked. They thought it was a little underscored when they compared it to other skaters at this event. While I do think that Trusova was, overscored, I actually think Rika's scores were quite fair considering the mistakes that were there.
Mm-hmm.
Her programs this season.
Oh, I feel bad. I love both of them.
Yeah,
I know
like
not everybody
I have
does.
mixed opinions. Like I have mixed opinions because I think the short program is growing on me a little bit more. I actually really like this dress more than her first dress. I saw the first dress in person and I thought it was nice, but they to me the first two dresses. She had the emerald, like this like emerald kind of gold dress, and she had the blue dress with the golden little appliques in it. I just didn't really. I wasn't feeling them fully. I thought they were pretty dresses, but I didn't think they fit the program for me. But then I do really like this red dress. It looks like a combination of Mokaba Higuchi's. She wore a red dress for a Vivaldi program, and Evgenia's black and red, same palette. But I think the programs are trying to push her expression a bit more, because I think Rika is a skater who I think has game face sometimes. And because of that, she can kind of lose, the connection with the judges. She can lose eye contact with the audience. It's not so much that she's looking down. She's not like Yuzu, where I think that she looks down too much. I think it's kind of just I feel like she's not always connecting.
It's focus.
Me. Right. She's really like, okay, let me just make sure I stay on my feet. Yeah. But I think that the short program, I think it's a little bit more like jazzy. It gives her something a little more unique to work with. I don't know. I think like vocally, some of the little scat music.
That's not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah,
it's my cup of tea.
I like scat, but I just didn't really feel it. Like I was like, okay, this is something new. But I think it's a nice enough program. I think it's forcing her to get out of her comfort zone, and I think she's doing the best with it that she can do. And I think the free skate. I personally think the free skate has a little bit too many music cuts. And I think that Tom Dixon is very ambitious. And he had a very clear story they want to convey with her, like, connecting all these different religions. And I'm not sure if she's supposed to be this, like, omnipresent goddess who... I'm not sure what she's trying to play. I think that she is going into the character, playing into the character a little bit more so in the free skate for me, with that little, like, start where she has a little, cutesy choreographic movements before her step sequence. In general, I think she is a good competitor. I think she is a very well-rounded skater, and she's up there with KOSTORNAIA for me. I would have... Well, I can't compare them right now, because I think it's really hard when they're both clean. But I think here, unfortunately, just wasn't her competition, and she got a very fair fourth-place finish.
Yeah. I also think when I think of Rika KIHIRA, by the way, she's one of my favorite skaters, especially I think the last two seasons. This season, I get a sense from her that she's surprised that she's not winning everything.
I agree.
And I'm not sure she's handling that pretty well. You know, behind the scenes, I just picture she's really composed in front of the cameras. I picture behind the scenes, and maybe there's some scrambling of moving around the jumps, working around the injury. What's the next biggest element she needs to add to be competitive? I almost, if that's what she's doing, which I don't know, I almost want to go in there and be like, relax and do you, and then let timing figure itself out. We don't know how long these young ladies from Russia are going to be consistent with their quads. Yeah.
I agree 100%. I think there's a bit of there's rushing because from what I was able to glean from the summer practice videos we saw, they were hoping to have a quad sal and a quad toe in the program by now. I think that the injury kind of pushed back the timeline a little bit of what they wanted her to be debuting technically. And I do think that she's probably a little worried because she feels like she's losing favor of the judges and these new juniors are coming in and winning everything. And Rika is, to me, the only person who really can realistically compete with them when she's clean and when they're clean. So I agree with you. I think that it'd be more important for her to take her time, heal properly.
Yes.
I know they talked about in an interview that even trying a double lutz hurts her ankle. And they said that the only way that she's going to be able to, heal from it is rest, but she can't rest in the middle of the season. And I was like...
Or can she?
I mean, you can withdraw. Like, sweetie, can you withdraw from Japan? Like, I feel like Japan should maybe give her a bye to go to
we have some
Worlds
other
or something.
fantastic Japanese jumpers out there.
Oh, agreed. 100% agreed. But I think the big thing is that Japan has such, like, specific and very strict guidelines over who can be sent to these international competitions and who can actually go to nationals. Mai Mahara, who wasn't able to compete this season, unfortunately, due to illness and injury, she wasn't even given any type of bye to go to nationals. I personally think in that case, it ended up being kind of positive because I don't think she would be able to go anyways. But people were a bit surprised that someone who ended, I think, up in like 5th place at nationals and 3rd place at Four Continents wouldn't have gotten to go because she missed the sectionals equivalent competition. But no, Rika I agree with you. She is one of my favorite currently ladies competing this season. I think the problem is that like I thought the beautiful storm free skate from last season was so perfect for her that when I look at this program, I feel like it doesn't play to her strengths in the same way that program did. And it actually reveals certain weaknesses that she may have in her interpretation skills. I think Beautiful Storm kind of called for this like very intense and focused facade that she does give off, while the International Angel of Peace and the Breakfast in Baghdad don't always call for that. And when she's focusing on the elements, it feels like it doesn't belong, while last season it still felt like it was there. It still felt like, okay, you're still in character. She might not have been, but it looked like it, and that's all that matters in the sport. But no, I thought she actually did a really good job of coming back, and I was really proud of her for making that comeback.
She didn't give up, so
she didn't at all. She didn't at all.
Yeah. Let's see here. We have Bradie Tennell in 5th place, which I'm actually kind of shocked by. I like Bradie this season, not prior seasons, I'll be honest. So everyone's like, Justin, she'll be in 6. I was like, you don't know that. How do you know?
Right. You were right. I would never have guessed this to be the final, the results of everyone. I would not have guessed for Bradie to be in 5th. Okay. Not because she's not talented, but I think her qualifying for the Grand Prix final was really impressive and kind of extraordinary. Because if you actually look at the way that the Grand Prix final qualification was going, Bradie had the first 2 events from Skate America and Skate Canada back to back. She hit it out of the park at Skate America, and Calvary Sakamoto she didn't do so well there. I think Elizaveta? I think Elizaveta was in Skate America. She came in 3rd, I believe. I'm pretty sure I'm right. Elizaveta came in 3rd there, so Bradie kind of got the surprise silver, but then she went to Skate Canada, which is stacked as all get out, and came in 4th. Yeah. A respectable 4th place. But then I remember as the season kept going, I was like, okay, you know what? I think Yu Young is probably gonna, qualify. But if she doesn't qualify, Elizabeth, whoever gets second at, I think it was Cup of China. Oh, Satoko Miyahara. Okay, now Satoko's in the running. Okay, so it doesn't matter. All Satoko she just needs to get bronze or whatever at Russia. She's gonna be fine. She's gonna qualify. Or maybe Mariah Bell will get a silver. We don't know. Oh, wait, no, Mariah Bell got the bronze and Satoko got 4th. Bradie just make the Grand Prix final?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't, to me, expected. And I remember a couple of my friends were texting me. They're like, oh, it's like Evgenia's going to make the Grand Prix final, or oh, Sotoko. I'm like, no,
No,
guys.
no, no.
It goes based on ranking. Like, she got second and fourth. Evgenia got second and fifth, Sotoko got second and fourth, but her scores were kind of low. So she made it kind of, because it was such a bit of a uneven season for a lot of the season pros. For the older skaters, I think it was a little bit more inconsistent. And, Elizaveta, Mariah Bell, Yu Young, Evgenia, they all made some pretty key errors at big competitions, and Bradie didn't. And she made it to the Grand Prix final. And I thought that was really impressive.
Her made it exciting. Yeah.
Very exciting. Very exciting. And when she came in here, I mean, she was the person she has the lowest scoring ceiling. You have, defending Olympic champion, world champion, Alina ZAGITOVA. You have Rika with her triple axels and now a quad sow. Then you have AAA. And then you have Bradie, who clean triples. She can do triples. But the short program, I actually really like her short program. I'm not a fan of the dress. I just feel like it kind of gives me like a Mrs. Claus vibe. She does look nice in red. That's a weird thing. I think she looks really nice in red. I don't know. I feel like the illusion fabric doesn't really match her skin perfectly. So it's just a little bit mismatched for me. But the cut does make her legs look really long. She already has long legs, but it does help kind of lengthen out her looks, and it does help with those lines. But
that's interesting to hear, because when I was on Twitter before we started filming, I just saw so many people critiquing her long program dress. I was like, no, I like that white one.
I like the white. I think this one was better than her. She had another dress thing that was like it had like the ombre effects between purple and something else. I thought this one was better. The only thing I was a bit like critical of, I think the ruching was a little bit like, it looked strange to me from far away with the dress. Like the fit looked a little off to me on her stomach, but everything else looked like, to me, like, I thought it fit nicely. I think it fit the program really well. I think she looked pretty. I did not like her hair in the free, but I liked it in the short. That's something I will say. I don't know what it is.
And your hair. I'm just like, everyone's wearing makeup, right? Great.
No, like for me, it's like she always does these things. Like when she puts her hair up in the bun, just something about it. She used to do like a bun that kind of makes her face look like more oval shaped. And I think she did something to just make it a little bit, to help elongate a little bit more, make it look a little thicker with the new bun for the short program. It just looked really nice, I thought. And I loved her makeup. She's wearing like red lipstick, and I think she just looked really nice and presentable. And the actual program, and the actual when she actually competed, she did well. I mean, she did under rotate her triple toe and her combination, but that triple flip she does in the second half, the transition she has going in and out of that jump, oh my gosh. Then she has the double she has the spread eagle into double axel with the spread eagle exit with her little like flick of the hands, the music.
A lot of skaters do that, but I really like it specifically when Bradie does.
Agreed. She executes it really well, and it doesn't feel like, okay, let me just get this transition, let me just hold it. And she has actually a pretty nice spread eagle for a lady. She does have like her hips kind of point out a bit, but I think that's what most, because they have a little something there. Their body's not built the same ways. But
I am glad that like the best version of Bradie that's ever been out so far in her career showed up to the Grand Prix final.
Agreed.
Two seasons ago, if she made the Grand Prix final, I'd be like, America can do better. But no, she's really come a long ways.
Agreed. I remember when she, seeing her at 2017 Skate America, I want to say that was kind of her breakout performance. She got the bronze there when Ashley Wagner had to withdraw because of the injury. So she kind of was like, oh my God, who's the American lady who's going to step up? And she was the one who did it. And I was like, oh, she's really impressive. But like, have we seen her? Like, I asked my friends, like, yeah, she's been at nationals, but she got an injury. I was like, oh, okay. And then she had the Cinderella free skate, and
I was pretty annoyed that USFSA was promoting her so much because she won a medal at Skate America. Like, that was it. And then nationals, and then the Olympics, and then the next season, I felt like she didn't live up to her hype, and NBC was all on it. I was like, can we calm down?
Right, and then I think what also like sparked a bit another wave of it is, well, one, she won the U.S. championships during the Olympic season, and they started talking about her in a way that she was competitive with. Like they almost talked about her like she was a medal contender, and
She
anyone who
was
was
not.
following skating was like, "That's you. You're not selling me truth. You're not telling the truth." And then the next season, she, went to ACI and she beat Evgenia in the overall score. And they started talking about, oh, she beat like the silver medalist. And I'm like, well, did you watch them skate? And did you take in consideration that she just changed coaches? And you guys are selling this as, oh my God, she beat the Olympic silver medalist, which means she's pretty much like an Olympic gold medalist. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
NBC has, I think, a
Like
bad
skating fans
habit
are
of doing
smarter
that.
than they think. Like you can't convince us
Yes.
of stuff where that we can research and we have eyes.
Agreed. And no, it reminds me a bit with when they were trying to sell the rivalry, the national rivalry between Vincent Zhu and Nathan Chen, and I was like, I don't,
No.
I don't think these skaters at the as close a level as you're trying to.
Yes, they can both do multiple quads, but rivals, no.
Yeah, and like the scores between them if they both skate clean.
Yeah, right.
So that's just like I was always kind of annoyed by that, but I do think that Bradie has shown up, and I think that for me, I underestimated her. I always kind of thought like, okay, you know what, like, Ashley maybe is a little injured right now, and Karen Chen is inconsistent right now, so she's kind of this like a transitional star. But I don't know if she's going to be the real deal, quote unquote. And she proved me wrong. She's really shown up several times. And I do think that she has shown that she can be a real force in regaining that third spot for Worlds. With the actual skating, though, the free skate, I think, was really impressive. Mm-hmm. She gave a clean-ish performance. It wasn't perfect. There were some under rotations in there, but the spins are fantastic.
She's a great spinner.
Yes, she is underrated. One of her sit spin positions, where she kind of does backward entries, is fantastic. Her eye spin is fantastic. Like her centering is incredible, and I think she's one of those people where she is very flexible once again, but I don't think the judges always reward her properly for it. They don't reward her for her unique positions and how clear they are. She's one of the people I think is most underrated in spinning right now. She really needs to work on getting a bit more spring in the jumps, because like almost every jump, there's a risk of there being a carrot for me when I was looking in
really?
slow.
Okay.
I was like, it was like not as much in the free skate, but there were times I was like, okay, Bradie, you need to get a bit more height. You just need to get a little bit more up there. At the same time, I do appreciate the fact that maybe because she's doing transitions into these elements, so she can't focus as much as just like making sure she checks the jumps and picks at the right moment so she gets the most spring, so that she can like get a tight enough body position and making sure she's fully backwards. She's like, okay, let me do the Charlotte spiral, let me do it into this like back counter, let me do right back outside. Like she's doing the actual skating is actually really difficult, and I didn't really notice it until I rewatched her programs, and I realized I was like, you know what, you're not giving this girl credit where credit is due for the fact that she is really trying to check off all the boxes to get those points.
I don't think I noticed that as much because, one, I think I'm so impressed that she's going for some of the more difficult combinations, especially for an American lady. And then speaking of American ladies, I'm always comparing Bradie's technique with Mariah Bell's, and I think Mariah is a lot more prone to like at least a review. Especially on the triple combination. So I'm just like, yee, Bradie. But then I'll be like, oh, look at the protocols, or I'll see the tech score drop. And I was like, oh, that looked good to me. But, we're not zoomed in like the judges are. So
I agree. I think that definitely, like, sometimes look at it, I'm like, okay, that looks pretty solid. Now it's slow. It's like, oh,
right?
Okay. If she works on, like, also having a nice, clean running edge out of the jumps, the judges don't always review every jump. If it looks okay in real time, they don't always look at it. So I'm like, Bradie, if you just have a good landing,
give them
even
room
if it
for
is
question.
Exactly. You want to give them room always to question if there's any errors. But her only like major mistakes in the program were both in the backloaded combos. She under rotated triple
Ooh,
toe
yeah.
and triple toe, and that was pretty clear. I just think she just didn't get enough height, and she kind of rushed to take off in the triple toe. She didn't get the best landing on the triple lutz. Then she under rotated triple flip and her double toe double loop. She only got a level 3 on her final combo spin, but she's getting +4s for it. So I think that really shows the quality of her spins.
That's right.
That one also did travel a little bit. But she got level 4 for step sequence and almost level 4 for everything. And then they gave her PCS 68, which, I mean,
That's fair.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair. I think it's pretty good. I think she showed up here. I think she did more than her job. And I think that she, like, especially when I compared her performance to Alyssa Liu in juniors, I think she put a real stake here to regain her national title. And I'm pretty sure her spot at Worlds is pretty much.
And speaking of that, I know there's the hype, too much hype around Alyssa Liu in the United States. We have to remember that Alyssa won by a few points and Bradie was not clean. So, you know.
Yeah, Bradie and Mariah. Yeah. If you like watching that nationals again, the judges would have given a tie for Mariah or Bradie if they were clean in the free skate. Yeah. Like, Alyssa is immensely talented, and the improvement that she's made in her skating over the last year, even the last 2 or 3 months, I was shocked because I remember seeing her in videos of Lake Placid in the Aurora Games. Oh, I'm sorry,
she was so slow.
Yeah, and it was just like her going into the triple axel and the quad lutz. It looked scary because she would always take off from a near standstill. And she's depending on that small size of hers. And she's already gotten taller, and it did kind of spell some problems for her in the free skate for the Junior Grand Prix final. But she still medaled. She still got a silver medal there. But I think Bradie has really shown here that she's a mature skater. She has been listening to critique. She has really chosen programs. Sorry, I keep playing random things. Okay. She's really chosen programs that push her to portray a very specific character. And I think they're good. I think both programs are good. I prefer the short program personally. I think there's more character and more personality in it. But overall, I think it's a really solid job. And I think the fact that Bradie can come to U.S. and not only did she qualify the Grand Prix final, she didn't come in last, which wasn't expected.
That's correct. Speaking of last place, Alina ZAGITOVA, that was a shocker. I'm looking, for those of you watching, we're looking at the protocols. I was looking at Bradie Tennell's free skate. Alina ZAGITOVA, my, that free skate, let's just say it was doomed from the beginning. That triple lutz, triple loop can be tricky. And my favorite combinations are the ones where the loop is the back end and they're so hard to pull off. When they're not done well, I'm afraid that a lot of times if they're either good or they're not great at all. And that was not a way to start the program. And then, did she fall on the double axel afterwards?
Yeah. And it was under rotated.
And
honestly,
lots of carrots equaling under rotations. I don't even want to count.
I think it was 6.
And if I remember watching the program, and it's unfortunate because I like seeing Alina ZAGITOVA as a mature skater. She's a reigning Olympic champion, has kind of had to fight some battles over the years, either proving herself that she did deserve that title, and also, I think Brahim talked about this, living up to the high PCS marks that she was given, maybe prematurely, the season she won the Olympics. I think she's finally getting there. This I did not expect.
I agree with you 100%. I will say, though, her short program was the first time that I saw her as a true artist. I saw her as like a true performer of the sport, and I was just so entrenched in what she was doing on the ice. And like there were times during this the choreographic sequence, like not the choreographic, the step sequence, where she was just like almost like reeling in pain, and like just her facial expression, her arm movements. It was fantastic. And I just saw such improvement from this little girl who was skating to Don Quixote and, backloading all of her jumps, like every single jump. Now, honestly, when I looked at the short program, I thought the triple lutz, triple loop, and the triple flip were under-rotated.
Oh, okay.
The judges did review the triple loop, but they didn't give her the carrot. So I was like, okay, they didn't go. But it wasn't such a blatant error that I was thinking it was the heel I was going to die on. I wasn't going to be like, oh my God, she was overscored. Because I've seen such great improvement. And what almost like, it almost hurt me was the fact that this was a girl to me who's finally reaching her artistic peak and finally meeting that like performance-wise potential. But technically, it's all kind of fell apart in the free skate. I mean, honestly, the only jump I didn't think was under-rotated was the final triple flip. I actually did think that was a little borderline. It was the double axel, the one she didn't fall on. And she did get that cleanly, called cleanly. I think she got lucky with some of the calls. I think they tried to help her, and the fact that she had 6 under rotations and the tech panel, I do think, helped her a little bit. I think it was 6.
And her program component marks, they were trying to help her too. They weren't that off from the short and the long. So kind of mid and high 8s. Actually, I'll say mid 8s, free skate, high 8s, short program. And low 9s.
So I think in short program she got, what, like 36-ish, 37?
Yeah, 36.
Yeah, so what I found interesting, well, one, I do think that her PCS marks are still inflated, period. I think they've always been inflated. I think that they are less overscored than they were a couple of years ago. I think she has improved so much. I think her short program is the best program she has ever had competitively by far. I think her dresses are also her dresses to me are always fantastic. The free skate, I don't understand how, like, I think the music is like Lawrence of Arabia, and they're mixing a bunch of music. It wasn't
The Feeling Begins?
It was The Feeling of Begins, but I think they have like 4 pieces of music in there. Actually, let me just put this up for 1 second.
Do we know how Raheem feels about her free skate?
Yes. So he has many thoughts, many feelings about all, Chalk and Bates, Senya Sinitsina, and
it's a tough
juniors.
season for Raheem.
He's very, very. But at least I think Elizabeth gets a little bit more of a pat. It's not the worst as far as they go. But no, it's The Feeling Begins, Lawrence of Arabia, and Ramses. So she's mixing quite a few pieces of music, which I don't really see how it all ended up equaling Cleopatra, but Daniil has ideas and he will put them into practice when he wants to. I thought the free skate was, I don't think she really had the chance to perform it because it was so rough technically. I think she was trying to salvage what she could with the jumps. I think like beforehand in practice, the jumps were looking a bit bigger than they had last season, but I don't know if she gets nervous during competition. I don't know if just that opening mistake just
I'm wondering if she was nervous competing against the AAA.
I really do think so. So there had been a couple of... So I don't want to, there has been talk about, what is Alina's and Yevgenia Medvedev's and others' future in the sport. And I think with someone like Alina, who is training with these girls day in and day out, who is, going to competitions with at least one of them during the Grand Prix, during both Grand Prix, she is seeing what she's up against. And Alina was that girl.
She was
2 years ago.
2 years is not that long.
Not at all. She was that little firecracker. She was the little technical specialist who was coming up against all the seniors, and
she was down the one Evgenia at the Olympics.
Exactly. She was doing triple lutz, triple loop, triple loop, triple loop, triple loop, triple loop. She everything. She was the competitor. She was the one to beat. And now she's kind of coming in as the potential first alternate. And that's what she's viewed as, I think. Unfortunately, because the base value just isn't there. I want her to continue competing because I think that these are some of the best programs she's ever had. And I think she finally has the ability to really work towards getting the scores that she was getting beforehand. I think she has the potential to be a 9.5 in performance and, transitions and skating skills type of skater if she just focused on that and focused on artistry and maybe got programs that let her breathe a bit and let her express the character a bit more. But I think that I don't know if she'll have a shot of competing out of Russia this year. You know, I don't think we've really heard anything about her training quad or a triple axel. So her base value is her base value, and she hasn't complete two clean programs in one competition, I think, this year, if I'm remembering everything correctly. So it really broke my heart. It really broke my heart because
It was hard to
she's
watch it, that
17.
kiss and cry. Yeah, she's 17. That's still so young.
Yeah, and this is a little pet peeve I have. Like, a Terry and the Niels, and the reaction sometimes to these scores can rub me the wrong way. Because I kind of felt like a Terry, the reaction to Lena's score was like, well, we knew it was going to be low, but it felt a little dismissive to me. I could be completely wrong, and I might be projecting, and I'm more than willing to admit that. I think that Alina is realistic, and she knows that that was a really bad performance. I think she knows that 125 was a bit of a gift. They really could have gone to the low 100s for that, because every single jump was a fight.
She probably felt worse skating it than we did watching it. You know,
Uh,
we're always our worst critic.
I agree. And another thing that irked me was that the commentator,
Chris?
yes, made the comment about how she maybe has to put in more work and put in more effort, and how it might be
I read
you
about
know,
that.
a motivation problem. And I'm not at that camp. None of us are at that camp. We can't speculate, but I'm pretty sure she's a hard worker.
Yeah.
You know, I do not think this is an issue of her work ethic whatsoever. I think this is an issue of a girl who grew 4 or 5 inches, and maybe not that much, but like 2 or 3 inches since the Olympic season, and who is, you know, is developing, you know, physically. She's gone through puberty.
That's part of growing up in the sport. You know, Mao Asada is a great example of overcoming that with some time.
Exactly. I think that she does need time to develop. I don't know if she can do that with this team, because I don't know if they'll have the time to give to a skater who they probably won't be able to reach a top 5 at Worlds, because they have all these skaters who could win.
Yeah.
So I want her to keep competing, because all these people, all these articles are coming out. Is she to retire? You know, Zagitova retiring, and yeah, I'm like, she is a teenager. She's not even in college yet. Like,
Yeah. And like, I kind of don't want to feed the beast being the system that, you know, pushes out the young girls and retires them at 17. It's like, maybe, you know, Evgenia Medvedeva is just being shown a lot of love, you know, right now for being a mature skater. So hopefully that continues to happen. And even to Zagitova, and then, you know, I don't want to say something bad, but what if injuries occurred to the younger skaters? With, you know, maybe, I don't want to feed the beast. Let's support
Right.
Alina in longevity.
And that's a big part of it. And I hate, because I hate saying this, but like, that we haven't had a season yet where, you know, all 3 of these super seniors, I'll call them, went through without injury. Unfortunately, first season Anna was out because of the broken leg. Second season KOSTORNAIA also had an injury. You know, things happen, and these are incredible athletes. These girls do probably dozens of clean run-throughs throughout a week. But they're also human, and they're also doing some of the most impressive and dangerous athletic feats that we have ever seen in the sport. You don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
If you had told me that Sofia Somodorova was going to be a European champion and make it to the world team last season, I would have laughed in your face.
Yeah.
But she made it because of consistency, and because she showed up when skaters who, let's be honest, are maybe stronger skating skills, have stronger jumps, and have higher ceilings for their scores, didn't show up. And I don't know, like, that might have been her only shot to really make a world team, unfortunately. If you're looking at the way Sofia's being scored this season, Stanislava Konstantinova, you know, got to go to Euros last season, and Worlds the season before. It might not happen again. You know, a lot of these girls, it's sad. Like, Polina Srpskaya, another great Russian skater. She retired,
Oh,
I think,
right.
18.
She
Yeah,
had great
Maria Skova.
technique.
Amazing.
Talk about
Amazing.
that triple Lutz. Whew.
It's incredible, but now I think we've gotten to a point where I don't want it to get to a place where an 18-year-old girl feels like, this is the end of my career. I have
Yeah.
to be done. I have no shot. And especially when I don't think all the skating reflects that. I think that, especially with Trusova's score, there's room like clean, mature, beautiful skating to be able to top that. Mm-hmm. But the judges need to do something about it. The ISU need to do something about it. Everyone needs to be involved in the process in order to make sure that the scores reflect reality.
And unfortunately, a lot of times the ISU makes decisions a little too late, or, you know, they're late on the ball, which is really unfortunate. But, you know, sometimes that has to happen. You know, we see rule changes every day that I like to think sometimes is made for the athletes to remain healthy, you know, limit the quads. But, you know, I think there's a certain camp, as we mentioned, that can kind of play the game and, you know, how can we stop them? The ISU will just have to like think ahead 10 steps, which they don't always do.
Agreed. And I don't think, I mean, I think that there are always consequences to any decision you make. Yeah. And, you know, some people are like, raise the age limit, and that has so many consequences. And it just, no, I don't think there's any easy solution to this, but I think we can do better than what's going on right now. Because seeing Alina's face in the kiss and cry to me was just heartbreaking. And, you know, and then having the immediate reaction be, she's done for, it's just, it shouldn't have to be this way.
Well, we ended our recap on a sad note.
I know, wait, I want to, like, is there anything positive to be talking about? Oh, I want to just bring up the fact that Yuzuru Hanyu is doing a quad axels in practice.
That's scary looking, though.
It was scary looking. He is inhuman. He is, I think, a god of the sport. Yeah. I don't even know if he is human half the time. Would I have been attempting quad axles that have, you know, potentially hundreds, if not thousands of pounds of force of impact when I fall down at a Grand Prix final practice?
On practice ice with other people around you?
No. Where I wouldn't be attempting it in competition? No. Am I impressed by the fact that it looked borderline almost rotated a couple of the attempts? Yes. Am I also terrified by the fact that Ghislaine, his coach, one of his coaches, has said that the quintuple toe loop, it may be easier than the quad axel for him, and that he's attempting them eventually? You know, I think it just kind of goes, I need to bring this up because I think it all kind of plays into a conversation about what the sport is looking for, and is it worth it? And in his, I feel like within Yuzuru's case, at least, it looks like this is more just an end goal. I want to be the first to land this jump. Mm-hmm. He's already won everything there is to win, other than the Four Continents Gold, which, hey man, you know, you can go to Four Continents this season. I don't think Nathan will be there as well. I think it might be more of a chill competition for you. Maybe you can, you know, have a little practice internationally before going up against him again. But I had mixed opinions of seeing it. Mm-hmm. I was excited to see the jump, but I thought that actually doing it at that point in time was not in any way. It was not the best time.
That just caught me off guard. I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a priority here.
Right, and I didn't know he'd be trying it here. And I mean, it seems like he wants to attempt it at Worlds, which I do think it might be there by Worlds. Yeah. But yeah, that was just kind of like final thoughts. So
there you go. No, this has been an amazing conversation. This has been 3.5 hours.
Oh, yes. I just noticed the time I was looking at it. I was like, oh,
this is
wow.
great. So you know what I might do? Usually my videos are about like 1.5 hours. Maybe I could divide them up by discipline so it's easier for the viewers to watch. But I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. I feel like we're friends now, like real friends.
We're having a chat. Oh, this is so nice. I finally know like what your like face is like when it moves and how you just like, it's just... This was really, really fun, Justin. It's so great to finally meet you face to face. And I love talking to you. Sorry that was so long.
No, it's good. I'm so excited. It's so good. And thank you so much for the viewer who made it this far. Actually, I'm splitting these videos up. So, of course, you made it this far. But thank you for watching. And then we'll see you.